Hello, welcome back to my channel. I've been busy last few weeks. Had a pretty hard time at work and stuff. But been around and doing stuff. Um, Went out yesterday and got a lot of books, so I thought I'd show them to you. And I promise I'll try and make a video soon that's not a book haul. Um, I'm working on a few ideas, but these were too good not to show, so I thought I would just quickly go through them. First off, I found in Valley Village of all places, for some reason, the one in Kingston that I go to does these grab bags of books. They used to do like 3, 4, 5 in a bag, but I think they've kind of for like $2. I think they've caught on to me, so now they're just doing 2 in a bag for $2, but it's still $1 a book, and it's much cheaper than their regular stacks there. And they usually have these great uh, cheap paperbacks from like the 70s and 80s, so it's been really great for me. So first up, have like a right-wing vigilante wish fulfillment novel from 1975, and often I say these are very much steeped in right-wing politics, but this has to be the quintessential because the tagline is directly aimed at liberals. So it's Bronson, street vigilante, and then it says, he was a knee-jerk liberal until he murdered his family, then he flew into a blind rage and became more savage than the street scum he stalked. And that's by Philip Rolls. This is first in a realistically tough new series. They say that a conservative is a liberal who just got mugged. They also say that a man is a killer by nature, only held in check by society. They say it, and it's true, especially for Bronson, street vigilante. He was a comfortable middle-class husband and father who believed that criminals weren't fraudsters, needing only love, understanding, and a few dollars to become model citizens. He believed it until they raped his wife and murdered his children. Then he believed in the harsh law of the jungle and knew that a man, to be truly called a man, had to bring his own kind of justice to the savages littering the streets. So yeah, that's the complete like paranoid, delusional. Uh, you're only one crime away from being a take justice into your own hands conservative. So good. I expect that to be good fun. Um, Continuing a theme on male fantasies. Mac Morgan, The Deadliest Sex. This is very much male fantasy driven, and it looks ridiculous. Um, this is a continuing on a series. I don't know which book is this. This is book number like 4 or 5 or something. What does it tell me? Be sure to read books 1, 2, and 3. So yeah, this is number 4. Yeah, 4 is the one there. The island was occupied only by women. Women of every shape, size, taste, and appetite. What they had in common was their pride in their sex and their determination to prove themselves more than a match for any man. Now Dusky McMorgan and his wild Irish sidekick, Westio Davis, were on the island too. They had sailed through a sea of corpses to get there, and they had their work cut out when they arrived. They came to finger a vicious killer, but surrounded by skin that seemed to beg to be touched, they soon discovered that the female of the species was truly more deadlier than the male. So yeah, that doesn't sound like it's a from 1981. That doesn't feel like it's a kind of aim at putting women back in their place for the rise of the feminism. But yeah, it looks kind of a little crazy. And they're always Irish, right? Like it's Irish. Like I feel like that's a cipher, right? Irish in the 1780s is kind of like for standing for white. So so that looks like good fun, but ridiculous. And then the creme de la creme of these. I think this is from the 70s, these 70s and 80s right-wing wish fulfillment novels that are usually great fun, but this has got to be the most masculine and when I say masculine, I kind of probably mean unintentionally homoerotic, which is even better. This one, maybe even it was intentional, I don't know. This one is called The Penetrator, and it's 2 books in one. So it's actually a double penetrator. And the two books are called the first one's called Man Kill Sport, and the other one is Deep Sea Shootout, which seems ridiculous. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Double the fun, I guess. And then next up we have a book. I thought it was another book. And it was in a bag, so I couldn't really look at it. But it looks pretty good too. It's from 1981. Jerry Allen Potter. If if I should die before I wake. And it sounds like someone jumps off the Golden Gate Bridge. Was she only trying to save her life? The Dallas Morning News says it's the most intriguing detective since Travis McGee. So yeah, that sounds interesting, and I am trying to read more modern crime books, so that fits the bill. I think this came in with one of the great finds from earlier, so I don't not really too bothered by Frederick Forsyth, but I'll read it. No comebacks. I like quite like the bullet going through whatever flag that is, or whatever that's supposed to be. It's kind of cool. It's not great, but it's kind of cool. I mean, I have the Fourth Protocol and the Day of the Jackal. The Death of File, I think I have somewhere as well. I've definitely seen all of the movie versions of those. Was it Death of File? Yeah, that was the one with the Fourth Reich, wasn't it? Or the Fourth Column, whatever they call it. Fifth Column. Down in the basement somewhere there. Was he in Argentina or was it somewhere else? But yeah, I've definitely seen that one. Yeah, that should be fun. I think this is also another one. Hammond Innes. I think I have a bunch of Hammond Innes. I think I might even have like a bind up of 4 of the Hammond Innes novels. Haven't really read too much of them. It's okay, it's fair, but this one looks to be one of the sea-bearing ones, which is probably the Hammond Innes in its finest. And when's that from? So I'll give it a go at some point. Be fairly down on my list though, so don't expect to see anytime soon. This was first published in 1940. So this one might actually be a pretty good one. I do prefer the older ones. This was a random find. I don't even know where I got this one from actually. I think it might be in Free Little Library. Cold Mountain by Charles Fraser. It's obviously it was made into a movie a wee back, and it was very popular at that point. That was the one with Nicole Kidman, wasn't it? It was like Last One Trier or something like that. It was a bit of an experimental movie. And it was published in 1997, so it probably wasn't that long after that. It was, everyone was reading it because of the movie. It was pretty popular when it first came out too. One of those ones I've always been meaning to read. I saw this one, and Criminale basically had a little voice in my head being like, "Go buy it." So it's Richard Lehman book, All Hallows Eve. Never read Richard Lehman. Never really even heard too much of him. Otherwise, like a vague kind of shadow of my youth. I think by the time that I was of reading age, where you could read horror, I don't think he was a name anymore. Pretty much even in the UK, he was completely done. So yeah, interested to see what it's about. Next up, Canadian author, famous for one particular novel that I actually still need to read, but I might as well give this a try. I think I have another one from him somewhere that I got recently too. Yeah, I got another one there, Desperate Measures. So it's David Morrell. This is Burnt Sienna, and obviously he's very famous for First Blood, which was made into the movie, and then later the Rambo franchise. One of my favorite authors, definitely, especially from early 2000s. Found him when I was in, I think, first year of university, maybe just after. And he really cemented my, like, really hooked in me back into the just reading crime, like, pretty much exclusively, or at least 90% of my reading. It's Christopher Brooke Meyer, and I have 2 of his books. Boiling a Frog, which is based in politics, and it's hilarious. It's like satirical crime, with also kind of like a side of ranting, I guess. Um, and then Not the End of the World, which I think deals with um, evangelical nut jobs in America. I think this is the one that doesn't have Jack Parleby in it. Um, this is a pretty early on novel. Yeah, I think it's like the third novel, and it's a bit of a kind of backstory one. Whereas this one is a Jack Parleby novel, and I think it's his fifth novel there, and Jack Parleby is his. Yeah, so I think actually this fourth novel and fifth novel. I've read them all, so it doesn't really matter. You can kind of just go at any point, really. There's a little bit of his like relationships that you might not know but it's not really that important to the story. And then I got a Sue Grafton, B as for Burglar, mainly because of Greg at Supposedly Fun. Has been working his way through the Sue Grafton books and obviously died recently. I've also been meaning to get more into the female writers of the kind of the 70s and 80s wave, with actually having female detectives and police detectives and that. So I have Sue Grafton, and I have Sarah Peresky, who did the V.I. Wachowski novels. This one is, when's this one from? 85, and Sue Grafton is probably from around the same time. 80, 85, yeah. So yeah, trying to get more into those. Getting more modern than I'm used to reading. I usually read from the 20s to the 50s. Saw this for pretty cheap and thought I'd get it. Stacey Abrams. While Justice Sleeps. I heard it's pretty fun. Big fan of Stacey Abrams and her political endeavors. It's got it's that airport weird size where it's thinner than thinner. It's kind of slightly, or it's about the same size as a mass market paperback actually, but it's much longer. Or it's not too bad actually for this one, for the Fontana actually. What others? Yeah, it's just a weird size. It's ever so slightly taller. It's just a bit of a weird size to read, but it's fun. You typically find this kind of size in airports or supermarkets sometimes. You get them kind of weird, different editions. Next up, a spy thriller. I'm pretty sure it's a British spy thriller. It's Pan. Yeah, Sunday Mirror reviewed it. I generally prefer to read British spy thrillers, especially from the Cold War for some reason. I just find the British being kind of like less in it, like more. They're in it and they're allies and stuff. But they're not like a major player. I find them so interesting. And they tend to be quite less actiony, and it's more intrigue and stuff like that, and kind of more cloak and dagger kind of things. And obviously, I'm British, so I also have a bit more of a perspective of what's going on in Britain at that time too. So this is Colin Forbes' cover story. Apparently, it was pretty good. And I like it's a jigsaw piece. It's like a Soviet imagery jigsaw piece missing out of the American flags. That's pretty cool. But it is, I think it is, also, so I think it centers around a British agent. But it does some of it does take place in America and stuff as well. I know nothing about this book, but it's about Russia around the time of the revolution. It's like just before, just after. So always interested to read novels around that period of time. And it is called Sashenka, and it is by Simon Montefiore, which is a name that rings a bell. Yeah, Simon Montefiore rings a bell. I don't know why this was published in 2008. Kate Moss said it was good, and I like Kate Moss. Thomas Keneally, author of Schindler's List, said it was furiously readable. Yeah, and I think the author himself was actually his family fleet, or his ancestors fleet the Tsarist Empire. Um, so he's always been interested in Russia. So I think it's also I do like um, stories that aren't um, sympathetic from the Tsarist Empire that um, too often there's a bit of rose tinted glasses um, for the Tsarist Empire. People too quick to judge the the revolution of the Soviets post that they quickly forget how brutal the Tsarist regime was. How well, there was a reason there was a revolution. Essentially, it was just a brutal regime. And even when I went to Moscow in I think it was like 2001, um, and you see all the gold in the buildings, and then you go to the armory, and it's just all the carriages are just solid gold and jewels, and just the display of wealth, whilst the people are poor, hungry, starving, being being taken away by secret police. So I was starting to feel revolutionary in my and just looking at it as a 17-year-old and or 16-year-old, however old I was in 2001, and living a pretty easy life uh, in England there. Anyway, moving on, more spying stuff. We got Mick Heron, Slow Horses. Uh, a lot of people are really fans of Mick Heron, but I particularly picked it up because Daniel from Guilty Feet absolutely loves Mick Heron, so definitely give him a shot. I'm sure Criminali's probably read some Mick Heron too, so another great recommendation. And probably actually another one I have picked up, really just simply because of Daniel from Guilty Feet. I think has mentioned him a little bit recently. Martin Amos, Money. Never read this one. It's been a long time since I've read any Martin Amos. Um, I don't know. Is he most famous for being Kingsley Amos's son, or is he famous in his own right for being a pretty out there author? Read some very lauded but very controversial stuff. I think he uses a lot of controversial imagery and subject matter and stuff. I'm, I can't think of any of his novels that I've read, but I have read them. Just can't remember the names of them. But it's been a while. It would have been like when I was 18 or 19, and I was really reading a lot more transgressive fiction and stuff that was like it's a lot of stuff that was in the uh, modern classic line of Penguin, and I always love the silver ones, the silver modern classic covers. Um, yeah, that is pretty much it. So I hope you enjoy that. I will hopefully make a video soon that's not a vocal. I've got a few ideas in the line, so look out for me in your feed soon, and have a great day. See you later. Bye.